The moment David opened the door, his world collapsed. Right there on the same bed they both shared as husband and wife was Agatha, his newly married wife, with another man. Agatha and David had only been married for 3 days. They were still observing their honeymoon in a wonderful 5-star hotel. That same evening, he had gone out a few hours ago just to get her a surprise package. But while he was gone, Agatha, his newly married wife, brought in another man into their room. David couldn't believe the sight before him. He couldn't believe what had just happened. His heart shut down completely. A marriage that had not even lasted a week was already destroyed. Betrayal so fast, so raw, it almost drove him mad. But what David did next shocked everyone. Because instead of fighting, instead of killing, he walked away. And the road he took led him back to the woman he once abandoned, the woman he was forced to reject, the crippled, beautiful lady named Amara. This is not a story you want to miss. A love broken in just 3 days, a betrayal that cuts deep, and a journey that will keep you on the edge. Stay with us as we unfold a tale of pain, choices, and a kind of love the world rarely talks about. Once upon a time, David and Amara were true and young lovers. They met in the university, and for 3 years, their love was strong and unshakable. They studied together, walked together in the evenings, cooked in the hostel like children playing house, and visited each other's rooms just to spend more time. Everyone around them knew they were meant to be. They both studied the same course, accountancy. Both of them were brilliant, and when they graduated with first-class degrees. Side by side, equal in everything. But there was one difference between them. David came from a wealthy family. His parents were old in age but looked young and strong because money had given them comfort. Amara, on the other hand, had lost her parents years ago. She struggled to survive, barely paying her school fees until she met him. If not for David's love and his secret help, she would never have finished her education. Many times David took money from his parents and used it to settle Amara's fees, her books, her needs. He loved her deeply and he promised her marriage. Amara held on to that promise with all her heart. But now they had graduated, David's parents never approved their relationship. To them, Amara was from the wrong background. They wanted their son to marry a woman from a high-class family of their standard. That woman was Agatha. She was 29 years old, 4 years older than David, who was only 25. Agatha came from a rich home, and David's father had business ties with her family. In fact, his parents already saw her as their daughter-in-law. But Agatha's reputation was nothing to be proud of. Many men in their area already knew her. She had lived recklessly, slept around, always drank and smoked. She lost her dignity completely. Yet when the news spread that she would marry David, Agatha was happy. At last, someone respectable was going to give her a name. David, however, refused to listen. He held on to Amara, the woman who had shared his struggles, the woman who had been with him through nights of hunger, exams, and tears. To him, Amara was his only partner, his best friend, his promised bride. One evening, the sky was heavy with dark clouds, and the wind carried dust across the road. Amara sat in a crowded public bus, holding her small handbag tightly against her chest. She was tired but happy, thinking about David and how he always made her laugh whenever she felt low. The bus was filled with people, traders carrying goods and mothers holding their children. But suddenly, as they reached a sharp bend, everything changed. The bus driver tried to overtake a trailer, but the road was too narrow. Tires screeched, people screamed. The bus lost balance and tumbled off the road. The sound of metal crashing against the ground filled the air. One moment Amara was sitting, the next moment, everything turned upside down. She heard glass breaking, people crying, and then silence. A silence so loud it felt like the world had ended. When Amara opened her eyes, dust filled her nose. Her head was spinning. Around her, bodies lay lifeless. Men, women, even the small children. She wanted to scream, but her voice was weak. She tried to stand up, but pain shot through her leg like fire. She looked down. Her right leg was twisted in a way no human leg should ever be. Hours later, people rushed to the scene. Shouts, cries, and wailing filled the air. They pulled Amara out carefully and she fainted from the pain. By the time she woke up, she was already in a hospital bed. White walls surrounded her. The smell of medicine filled her nose. Her leg was wrapped in thick bandages. The doctor stood beside her, his face heavy with pity. "Miss Amara," he said softly, "you survived something terrible. But your leg is badly damaged. You will not walk the same again." Tears rolled down her face as she closed her eyes. It felt like the world had ended for her. That was when the door opened, and David rushed in. He had run all the way from his father's house when he heard the news. His shirt was not buttoned properly, his eyes red with fear. "Amara," he called, almost stumbling as he reached her bed. He grabbed her hand, pressing it against his chest. "I'm here. I'm here, my love. Don't cry, please, don't cry." But Amara couldn't stop crying. She turned her face away. "David, look at me. My leg. My leg is gone. What kind of wife will I be to you now?" "I'm finished." David bent down and kissed her hand gently. His own eyes were wet, but his voice was firm. "Don't say that, Amara. You are my life. You are the one who stood by me when I was nothing. You are the woman I want to marry, not because of your legs, not because of beauty, but because of your heart. Even if you cannot walk, I will carry you. Even if the world mocks you, I will stand by you." She looked at him with weak eyes. "But your parents, they will never accept me now. Before they hated me because I was poor. Now I'm broken." David held her face in his hands, his voice shaking. "Then let them hate. I don't care. I don't care if the whole world turns against us. I only care about you." For the first time since the accident, Amara smiled faintly, though her eyes were still wet. She whispered, "David." And David bent closer, resting his forehead against hers, as if promising with his soul, "Nothing will separate us." A week later, Amara was discharged from the hospital. The nurses rolled her out in a wheelchair. Her eyes were red with tears. She kept looking down at her leg, now wrapped in bandage. She could not believe she would never walk like before. David stood outside waiting for her. He quickly went close, held her hand, and forced a smile. "Amara," he said softly, "you are going home today. You are not alone. I am here with you." Amara shook her head. Her lips trembled. "David, look at me. I am useless now. I cannot even walk. How can you still love me?" David knelt by her side, right there in front of everybody. His voice was strong. "Don't say that. You are not useless. You are my life. You are still Amara, the woman I love, the woman I promised. Wheelchair or no wheelchair, you are mine." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She wanted to believe him, but the pain in her heart was heavy. David pushed the wheelchair himself and took her home. Inside her small house, he arranged her things, helped her lie down, and stayed until she fell asleep. When David returned to his parents' big mansion, he was quiet. His mother noticed at once. "David, what is it?" "Why is your face like this?" she asked. He shook his head. "Nothing, Mom." But the news was everywhere already. The accident had been posted on social media. His parents had seen it. His father leaned back in the chair and laughed. "So it is true. That girl had an accident. She is crippled now, right?" His mother clapped her hands. "Thank God. At least God has shown you a sign. You cannot marry her. How can my son marry a cripple?" "David, forget that girl. She is not your wife." David's eyes were red. His hands shook, but his voice was firm. "Mom, Dad, listen to me. Amara is not a mistake. She is not a curse. She is my choice. I will marry her. Accident or no accident, she is my wife." His parents looked at him in shock, but David walked away without fear. The next morning, before the sun came out fully, David was already at Amara's house. He helped her bathe, helped her dress, and lifted her gently from the wheelchair. He wiped her tears and whispered, "You are not alone. I'm with you, Amara." The next morning around 11 a.m., a convoy of flashy cars drove into Mr. Williams' mansion. The sound of engines and loud horns filled the air. Mr. Dyke, Agatha's father, stepped out first, dressed in rich flowing abaya, his walking stick shining with gold. 4 men in the same attire followed behind him, all wearing dark glasses. His presence alone made the house servants bow in fear. "Mr. Dyke," chuckled loudly as he walked into the living room. His voice was thick with pride. My friend, what is happening? What is keeping you from coming to my house? Why haven't you come to ask for my daughter's hand in marriage for your son? Mr. Williams stood up quickly, smiling nervously. Please, sir, we will come. Just give us a little more time. Agatha's father frowned. He dropped his stick on the marble floor with a heavy sound. Time? Do you know who you are talking to? If you keep wasting my time, then forget every business between us. If you don't give me an answer soon, don't ever call me again for anything. Besides, you know what I'm capable of doing. He turned and walked out. His men followed, their footsteps echoing like thunder. Mr. Williams stood still, sweat forming on his forehead. His hands shook. He knew the weight of that threat. Agatha's father was not just a friend. He was the pillar of his business empire. Without him, the company would lose contracts, investors, and maybe collapse completely. That evening, Mr. Williams, David's father, sat in his sitting room, restless and angry. His wife joined him, pacing back and forth. We must do something. If David does not marry Agatha, our lives are finished, she said sharply. They called David's phone again and again, but he did not answer. He was still at Amara's small house, sitting by her side, comforting her while her sister, who had just arrived from another state, helped with most of the care. David arranged her room as the sister bathed Amara and helped her into fresh clothes. He stayed close, wiping Amara's tears whenever she broke down, whispering, You are not alone. Late at night, David finally returned home. He walked into the living room and found his father waiting, his face dark with fury. Where are you coming from? Mr. Williams shouted. Don't answer me. I already know, in that useless girl's house, that cripple. David's heart pounded. His father's words cut deep, but he stood firm. Mr. Williams slammed his hand on the table. David, either you are going crazy or you are blind. Tonight you will decide. Will you throw away your family, your name, and everything we built just for that girl? Or will you be a man and marry Agatha? The room went silent. The weight of the decision pressed on David's chest. His father's eyes burned into him, demanding an answer. David's voice broke as he looked at his father. Dad, please. I have told you already. I am married in my heart. I cannot love any other person apart from Amara. It is my heart speaking, not my mouth. I beg you, Father. Mr. Williams' eyes burned with fury. His voice thundered. Then you will face the world. If you refuse Agatha, David, read my lips. I promise you, I will disown you. You will be forced to stay alone, without a name, without a house, without family. Trust me, David, you will never survive it. He turned, grabbed the door, and slammed it hard. The walls shook as David sat slowly on the couch, his face pale with shock. His heart pounded. His father's words cut him like a knife. That evening, his mother quietly entered his room. She sat beside him with tears in her eyes. My son, why are you doing this to yourself? She whispered. Just marry Agatha. Do you want your father's company to fall? Do you want us to become poor? You know her father is the pillar of your father's business. If he leaves, everything will collapse. Why are you destroying us, David? David shook his head slowly. His voice was heavy with pain. Mother, I love Amara so much. I can't leave her. Look at her condition. If I walk away, she will be broken forever. His mother touched his shoulder gently. Yes, I understand, my son. But sometimes, we must sacrifice love for love. If you marry Agatha, your father's company will live. Amara will survive. Please save us. David sighed deeply, his eyes filled with tears. All right, mother, I will marry Agatha, but I will never stop visiting Amara. His mother nodded quickly. Good. You can visit her anytime. Just marry Agatha to save this family. The next morning, David walked into Amara's small house. His face was pale, his steps heavy. He knelt before her. His voice shook as he begged. Amara, I am sorry, I must do this. My father threatened to disown me if I don't marry Agatha. Please forgive me, Amara's lips trembled. Her eyes filled with tears, but she forced a smile. David, there is no need to beg. I knew this day would come. I hold no grudge against you. Some people are not meant to be. I understand, and I forgive you. Just know that I love you." David's tears dropped on her hands. "I love you so much, Amara. I will never forget you." Her sister stood silently in the corner, her own heart breaking. Amara tried to stay strong, but inside she was crushed. Later that day, David stood before his father. His voice was weak. "Father, I am ready to marry Agatha." Mr. Williams gave a cold smile. "Good. I thought you were stubborn. If you had refused, you would have faced the world alone. Tomorrow we are going to her father's house. Prepare yourself. Act like a man." David lowered his head. His heart was shattered, but he had no choice. The next day came with heavy silence. David dressed in his father's chosen outfit, though his heart felt like it was chained. Mr. Williams stood tall in his flowing abaya, his wife beside him in matching lace. They entered the black SUV and drove straight to Agatha's father's mansion. The compound was wide, painted white, with luxury cars parked like jewels. Uniformed guards stood at the gates. It was a show of power. As they stepped out, Agatha's father came to meet them, laughing boldly, his abaya flowing. He stretched out his hands. "Ah, Mr. Williams, you finally made it. This is how it should be." Mr. Williams forced a laugh, bowing slightly. "My in-law, forgive us for the delay. We are here now." They were ushered into the grand sitting room, filled with glass tables and golden chairs. Servants rushed with drinks and cola nut. Agatha's father spoke with authority, his tone rich and commanding. "So this is the day we seal our families together. My daughter will be your son's wife. From today, your house and mine will never lack wealth." David sat quietly, his face pale. He barely looked up. His mind wandered back to Amara. Agatha was already in her room with another man when she had her husband-to-be had come. She told the man there in the bed to wait for her. She wouldn't take time. Agatha walked in. She wore a fitted gown that clung to her body, her makeup heavy. She smiled too brightly, waving her long nails as if she was showing off. The men in the room could not help but stare. Even her father's friends shifted uncomfortably. David's heart sank. He had always known the whispers about her, but seeing her now, in her own father's house, confirmed everything. She was careless, bold and proud, not like Amara, who carried pain yet glowed with dignity. Agatha sat down beside him and leaned close, her perfume sharp. "Finally," she whispered with a smirk, "I knew you'd come back." "You can't resist me." David pulled back slightly, his hands tightening on his knees. Her father's booming voice filled the room again. "So, Williams, let us talk. My daughter has many suitors, but I kept them all away because of you. I want this marriage settled quickly. What date are we looking at?" David's mother glanced nervously at her son, then at her husband. Mr. Williams cleared his throat. "Very soon, sir. We will consult the family elders and return with a date." Agatha's father leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "Good. But let me warn you, no delay. My daughter is not one to wait. She deserves a wedding that will shake this town. Do not disgrace me." Everyone laughed except David. His chest was heavy, his thoughts were drowning. He saw the way Agatha smiled at another man in the room, one of her father's servants. Their eyes locked too easily. The rumors were not lies. David's fist clenched. He looked at his father, who nodded proudly as though everything was perfect. But inside David's soul, there was only war. As they rose to leave, Agatha clung to his arm. "Don't worry, my love," she said loud enough for all to hear. "Our wedding will be the talk of the town." David forced a smile, but in his heart only one name echoed. Amara. The days passed quickly after the introduction. Plans for the wedding rushed forward with the speed of business urgency, not love. Mr. Williams and his wife were busy arranging dates and venues, while David moved around like a shadow. His heart was not in any of it. Agatha, on the other hand, shined with excitement. She spent long hours in boutiques, choosing gowns, shoes, and jewelry. She called David endlessly, speaking of their future and of the kind of house she wanted them to live in. David answered with short words, his voice heavy, his mind far away. One evening, Mr. Williams entered his son's room and placed a hand on his shoulder. "My son," he said firmly, "this marriage is not just for you. It is for this family. With Agatha's father by our side, our business will grow beyond imagination. You must endure whatever your heart feels. A man sometimes sacrifices for those he loves. David looked up at him, his eyes moist. But father, he whispered, is it sacrifice when you give away your soul? Mr. Williams frowned. Don't talk like a child. You will understand when the benefits start to flow. Obey me in this, and you will thank me later. David lowered his head. He did not reply. The wedding day came like a storm. The hall glittered with chandeliers, the air filled with perfume and the sound of trumpets. Wealthy guests trooped in, men in Agbada, women in lace and Yale that touched the ceiling. Cameras flashed everywhere. Phones recorded every moment. Agatha appeared in a flowing white gown, her smile wide, her eyes scanning the crowd as though she was searching for attention rather than focusing on her groom. David stood stiffly at the altar, his suit perfect, but his heart absent. When the priest asked, "Do you take this woman to be your wife?" David hesitated. His throat tightened, and for a moment, silence fell over the hall. His father's cold stare pierced through him, and Agatha squeezed his hand hard, her nails digging into his skin. "I do," David forced the words out. Applause and cheers filled the hall. The ceremony went on, music played, wine flowed, people danced. But deep inside, David felt chained, like a man locked in a cage. After the wedding, they traveled for their honeymoon in Echo Hotels in Lekki, Nigeria. 2 days in the hotel, David went out to get her a surprise package. When he returned, he held a bouquet of flowers, hoping maybe to at least try and start something fresh with his new wife, even though his heart was still with Amara. He walked through the grand hallway quietly, the sound of his shoes echoing on the marble floors. He heard muffled laughter from the bedroom. At first he thought Agatha was watching a movie, but then a deep male voice followed. His heart raced. He froze at the door, his hands trembling, then slowly pushed it open. There she was, Agatha, lying on the bed with the same man David had seen laughing at her father's house during the introduction. Their eyes widened in shock when they saw him, but Agatha quickly turned bold. "David," she said with a smirk, "you're home early." David dropped the flowers. They scattered across the polished floor. His chest tightened, his breathing heavy. He felt his whole world collapse in one moment. "You?" he whispered, his voice breaking. "In our own bed." The man stood up, smiling carelessly. "Calm down, young man. You don't own her. She was mine before she was yours. Let me just do my thing and leave. You have her to yourself." David's fists clenched. He took one step forward, then stopped. Rage boiled inside him, but tears burned his eyes. Without another word, he turned and stormed out of the room, slamming the door so hard the wall shook. That night he did not sleep, his mind bleeding. He thought of Amara, of her tears, of her broken body, of how she had still smiled at him with love, even after he told her about Agatha. He thought of the promise he had made to her, the promise he had broken. By morning, his decision was made. He went straight to Amara's house. She was sitting on her wheelchair by the window, her sister beside her. When she saw him, her face lit up, though she quickly tried to hide it. David walked in slowly, his suit still on from the previous night, his eyes swollen from lack of sleep. He dropped to his knees in front of her. Her sister gasped. "Amara," he said, his voice shaking, "I am sorry. I failed you. I was weak. I let my parents and money control me. But last night I saw the truth, and now I know. You are the only woman I can ever love." He pulled out a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring. His hands trembled as he opened it. "Please marry me, Amara. I don't care what my father says. I don't care what anyone says. I am yours. Only yours." Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. Her lips trembled. Her body shook with emotion. For a moment she could not speak. She simply stared at the man kneeling before her, the man who had once broken her heart, but now was ready to fight for her. Her sister covered her mouth, tears in her eyes. The room was silent, but in that silence, the world felt like it was holding its breath. Do you think Amara would say yes? Or if you were Amara, would you accept the proposal? Share your thoughts in the comments and watch out for part 2. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out. Thanks for watching. Please like and share.